Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Adrian is away. Tonight, unvaccinated in Quebec, life could look very different for you if cases spike again.
If it guarantees us a certain safety with our customers, for our staff, I think it's a good thing.
Quebec's plan for a vaccine passport raises some pretty big questions. Plus, the familiar sound that could be missing from the Olympics. A state of emergency, fans told to stay home, why the stands will be empty at the Tokyo Games.
The average childcare fees for BC parents will be cut in half.
The promise, cheaper childcare, but is it dependent on a federal election? And it certainly looked like a day on the campaign trail.
So many people that cannot find a place to call home.
The country is facing a national unity crisis.
Things that'll make a real difference.
At Issue takes your questions about the possibility of heading to the polls. This is The National. The era of vaccine passports is set to arrive in Canada, specifically Quebec. If and when a fourth wave hits that province, Quebec plans to bar unvaccinated people from certain activities as a way of avoiding broader lockdowns. So that means gyms and theaters, for example, might stay open for those fully vaccinated, while those without 2 doses wouldn't be allowed in. As Alison Northcott explains, this involves 2 sets of rules for 2 different groups, and that has people divided.
Like most restaurant owners, the thought of another COVID-19 lockdown is daunting for Anne Daubouis.
If we have to shut down, it's going to be like a very bad scenario for us.
If the alternative is a passport for fully vaccinated customers, she's for it.
If we have like the vaccination passport and if it guarantees us a certain safety with our customers, for our staff, I think it's a good thing.
For months now, everyone who gets a COVID shot in Quebec can download a QR code, digital proof of their immunization.
It's a risk management approach.
And if a fourth wave hits this fall, the Quebec government plans to use that code as a tool to control transmission.
If and only if the situation deteriorates, rather than closing sectors of activity, it would be necessary to be doubly vaccinated to access certain activities.
He says it would only target non-essential activities in certain areas where there are outbreaks. There will be exceptions for children and people unvaccinated for medical reasons. But those who choose not to be vaccinated could be denied entry to gyms, bars, or restaurants.
For a limited time, in a targeted way, in order to reach such a critically important public health and economic objective, it is justified.
But other experts worry about people's rights and their privacy.
We need to know, what information is going to be on that code. Does the business hold on to that information? Where does it go? It turns what is supposed to be a voluntary personal choice into something that is de facto mandatory.
We just don't have enough information at this point, I think, to be doing this. I suspect it's a nudge to get younger people to be vaccinated.
Quebec is trying to convince more young adults to get vaccinated. The health minister says the vaccine passport could help. The province is waiting until September to put this all in place to give everyone a chance to get 2 shots. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
And when it comes to first doses, at least, Canada is among the most vaccinated countries in the world, but progress has stalled. The percentage of eligible Canadians aged 12 and over with at least 1 dose hit 70% a month ago. Since then, it's crawled to just 78%. By contrast, the percentage of people with second doses has surged tenfold to more than 45%. But it's that percentage with first doses that seemed to have hit a ceiling. And sooner or later, Canada's rollout will bump up against it. Karen Paul shows us why that ceiling matters and what some provinces are trying to do to raise it now.
Despite the deluge, people lined up at lunchtime to get vaccinated in Toronto.
If they had drop-ins for people, I think everybody would get it. Makes it easier.
As of today, more than 40 million vaccine doses have been given,
which equates to over 26 million, or 78% of people aged 12 years or older in Canada with at least 1 dose.
But that number is plateauing, making it crucial to reach those who are hesitating.
We care about the unvaccinated people because that's the susceptible population. In epidemiology, the susceptible population drives the likelihood of waves.
Ontario's health minister says 83% of recent COVID hospital admissions were unvaccinated.
I think is incentive enough for people to move forward.
In Manitoba, where ICU patients had to be sent to other provinces because hospitals were full, there are still areas with very low vaccination rates. So next week, there will be province-wide walk-in clinics.
Herd immunity is just not true. With variants of concern becoming more dominant and prevalent, we have to do better than that.
The risk is slightly higher.
Another way of reaching out, using social media influencers, like Samantha Yamin, a molecular biologist who's taken on that message.
There's a lot of misinformation on social media, and so it's important that we put good quality information on social media too. You ready?
In Ontario, Manitoba, and Alberta, only a small number of family clinics can give the COVID-19 vaccines. Doctors want their role to expand.
Family doctors are the trusted source of information for patients. And when we look at who has yet to be vaccinated, either receive their first vaccine or get their second vaccine, we know that group includes people who really want to have a conversation.
Here's something else to chew on. If you're in Ontario, your McDonald's takeout will soon include a flyer like this one. The province hopes it will whet people's appetites to line up at vaccination clinics like this one. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Canada's borders would gradually reopen, but for those that aren't fully vaccinated, he was very clear.
I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen for quite a while. We will continue the reopening of our borders, but we will do it in a way that ensures the ongoing safety of all Canadians.
Trudeau suggested moving too quickly would jeopardize progress against the virus. Now, we are learning more tonight about a new emerging coronavirus variant. It's called Lambda, and it's already here in Canada. Vicadopia explores where it came from and why scientists believe we should be paying very close attention to where it goes next.
COVID-19 has swamped South America, which has suffered a quarter of the world's deaths, even though it's less than 10% of the planet's population. Most Peruvians are unvaccinated, allowing the Lambda variant to spread and take over as the dominant strain in just a few months.
That is a early but strong suggestion that this is a more transmissible variant. Otherwise, there is no real way to explain it. And not just because I'm saying this, but because we've seen this pattern before.
We've seen it in the Delta variant, which is expected to become dominant in Canada. So far, Lambda's case count here isn't quite known.
We know of 11, but there could be further ones in the provinces that are just being gathered at this moment. And we don't know the full impact.
Scientists do know mutations to the spike protein give variants like Lambda a tactical advantage in attacking our immune systems. But variants also compete with each other for dominance.
So that's why we have this period of uncertainty when we start picking up new variants. Ultimately, it depends on what happens in the population. So it's really difficult to predict.
Just how much more transmissible Lambda is, and if that translates into more severe illness, is still part of the mystery.
I think we've all learned the hard way not to underestimate this virus. I think a lot of people are keeping an eye out for it.
Early lab tests suggest the mRNA vaccines offer strong protection against Lambda, though researchers noticed the variant did put up more of a fight than the original virus, and they warn it's only a matter of time before more resistant variants emerge. Vicadopia, CBC News, Toronto.
So it's pretty clear, even when you think the pandemic is waning, you can't ever let your guard down completely, right? So let's try to understand this a little bit better with infectious diseases specialist Dr. Alex Wong. So Dr. Wong, first question, is Lambda fundamentally different from anything we've seen? Like if we assume the worst, that it's here, it is spreading, should we be taking different precautions?
You know, I think a lot of the attention around Lambda is just the fact that it's something new. And, you know, so the WHO sort of mentioned this earlier this week. It's not fundamentally different, we don't think, than Delta. We don't believe or have any reason to believe that it's any worse or, you know, more transmissible or more deadly than Delta. You know, so right now, you know, it's something that we need to be mindful of. At the same time, I don't think it should change our behavior. You know, we expect Delta to be the predominant variant, you know, going forward at this time.
Is there any reason to think that vaccines would not be able to either, you know, keep up with Lambda or even other variants that we haven't even thought of yet?
Yeah, so there's not a ton of data, but there was just some preprint data that hasn't been peer reviewed yet, but it did show that, 2 doses or that the mRNA vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, do appear to have good neutralizing activity. So again, I think the message remains clear. These mRNA vaccines are superb against the virus and all of its variants. We need to make certain that everybody gets vaccinated as soon as possible. And that's really the bottom line.
Dr. Wong, helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, British Columbia and the federal government have reached a deal to create $10 a day childcare. It's the first such agreement after the Liberals laid out their plan for a national childcare system in April. And as Lindsay Duncombe explains, it comes as the major political parties appear to gear up for a potential election.
The scenery, the baby, the announcement. With election talk ramping up, the federal Liberals' latest funding announcement looks a lot like a campaign stop.
We're making your life easier and more affordable, and we're making sure kids get the best possible start in life.
By the end of 2022, the goal is to have more than 12,000 $10 a day daycare spots for BC kids under 6, and to bring down the average cost of all spots in the province to $21 a day. It wouldn't fall to $10 a day until the end of 2026.
When you're building a system, like this isn't just a program, it's a whole system across the country, and BC's leading the way. Obviously, it will take time.
Chantal Krish went through several care providers, including expensive nannies, before her 3-year-old got a childcare spot the family is happy with. She says the new plan might not make a difference for her eldest, but her younger son, Tristan, should benefit.
There's enough challenges being a parent with young children. Like, dealing with childcare shouldn't really be one, and if anything, it's the biggest one.
Not only does the plan promise cheaper quality care, it promises more of it. 30,000 new spots in public or not-for-profit centres in the next 5 years. Some providers say they've heard these kinds of promises before.
It is not what's in the best interest of the children in BC. It is only about votes for parents. That is what they want.
Great start. Really important language. I think a real chance to make an historic lifetime difference for both the parents and the kids and for Canada's economic future. But how that gets played out is going to be in the fine print.
The reason why the full agreement hasn't been released yet may be because the federal government is negotiating with other provinces. Or it could be that all the details haven't been hashed out yet, but the timing was right to make an announcement. Potential federal election and all. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Independent MP Jody Wilson-Raybould has announced she will not be seeking re-election. She shared some of the reasons for her decision on CBC Radio this morning.
There's still an inherent challenge in terms of the way we govern in this country and in the power of the Prime Minister, which goes very much unchecked.
In a statement, Wilson-Raybould said Parliament has become more and more toxic and ineffective. She was first elected as a Liberal in 2015 and became the first Indigenous Justice Minister and Attorney General. She was later expelled from the Liberal caucus during the SNC-Lavalin affair. Wilson-Raybould says she will share details on her future plans soon, but hasn't said whether she's done with politics. Canada's Assembly of First Nations has a new national chief, and she is making history. After a tough and drawn-out election, RoseAnne Archibald has become the first female chief of the AFN. Aliva Stefanovic has more on her hard-fought win.
I, RoseAnne Archibald.
A historic moment for a trailblazing leader.
And you can tell all the women in your life that the glass ceiling has been broken.
RoseAnne Archibald was the first woman to lead the Assembly of First Nations in Ontario. Now, she becomes the first female to take the helm of the entire national advocacy organization, after her main opponent, Reginald Bellarose, conceded.
It's time for change on so many levels. And with the recent discovery and recovery of our little ones across this country, we are all awake.
A major priority, implementing all 94 recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
That's impactful for certainly, non-Indigenous people who are now really tuning into this, but certainly even more so for our communities.
This Anishinaabe researcher says grassroots members want Archibald to usher in a new era, with more accountability and transparency.
The AFN needs an overhaul. I think RoseAnne Archibald, from what I know of her and her work with the AFN, is willing to do that.
Archibald's history with the AFN is complicated. She scrutinized the organization's financial management. The Assembly also launched an investigation into bullying and harassment allegations against her.
When you try to do the right thing for the right reasons, Indigenous people and Indigenous women are usually punished.
Still, he says the path she's paving can make a difference.
She can definitely maybe set an example for other female leaders out there who maybe are on the fence about running into politics.
Archibald is known for not shying away from criticizing government, changing dynamics ahead of a possible upcoming snap federal election. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, NDP MP Mumalak Kagak is calling on Justice Minister David Lametti to appoint an independent prosecutor to investigate crimes committed against Indigenous people in Canada.
The map of Canada is covered with crime scenes. The unmarked graves that have shocked Canadians are just the tip of the iceberg. We have been saying this for generations, and it's time for Canada to face the truth.
Kagak, alongside MP Charlie Angus, says Lametti has the authority to order investigations and subpoena documents involving both residential schools and federal day schools from both the federal government and the church. Well, turning to Haiti now, where police have killed several suspects in the shocking assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. They've also arrested several others, including a man believed to be a former bodyguard at the Canadian Embassy in Port-au-Prince. Evan Dyer has the latest on the assassination and the political chaos it is fueling.
With more arrests come more questions about what really happened.
Because, it's very surprising that a group of men could come from abroad, land in Haiti, get to the president's house, upstairs where the bedroom is, and then shoot him.
Acting Prime Minister Claude Joseph pointed the finger at Haiti's rich oligarchs.
President Moïse was really committed to some actions against the oligarchs in Haiti.
But some are suspicious, saying they see the hallmarks of an inside job.
We have to make sure that we take into consideration all the usual suspects, the oligarchy, the bourgeoisie, but also the PHTK, the political party of Jovenel Moïse, in which they have had some internal conflicts.
In one of his last acts on Monday, President Moïse had replaced Claude Joseph with a new PM, neurosurgeon Dr. Ariel Henry. Dr. Henry has said that makes him the lawful leader. But the UN Security Council accepts Joseph, at least for now.
There is two prime ministers in office, and so there's going to be a real battle for power in Haiti.
There were questions about the legitimacy of the past government.
Canada's also backing Joseph, though not very enthusiastically. Many Haitians here think that's a mistake.
There is no legitimate president in Haiti right now, and no one can pretend to be.
Frédéric Boiron says Dr. Henry has a better claim under Haiti's constitution. The country's most prominent Haitian Canadian seems to agree.
And Henry was to be sworn in on July 7, the day the head of state was assassinated. So in the meantime, Claude Joseph jumped to fill the vacuum.
Michael Jean says Canada should instead back a national unity government that includes opposition parties. But Canadian officials told CBC they'll continue to back Claude Joseph as long as elections are held within 100 days. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
4 more victims were recovered today at the site of that condo collapse in Surfside, Florida.
The total number of confirmed fatalities is now 64. 76 are still potentially unaccounted for.
Recovery work continues around the clock, but rescuers are now looking for remains instead of survivors in the rubble. A moment of silence was held by rescuers today alongside family members to mark 2 weeks since the collapse.
Elsa strengthened. Maximum sustained winds now estimated to be 70 miles per hour, and there are potential for higher gusts.
Parts of the American Southeast are hunkering down as Tropical Storm Elsa travels up the Atlantic coast. The 5th named storm of the season has brought heavy rain and high winds to parts of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Multiple tornadoes have been reported in the region, too. The storm is expected to race up the East Coast in the coming days. Well, U.S. President Joe Biden has moved up the end date for America's military mission in Afghanistan to August 31st. As Katie Simpson shows us, it largely means Afghan troops will be on their own, facing Taliban forces gaining strength.
Taliban fighters loaded explosives into an empty building. This once was a government checkpoint, now dust in the wake of the Taliban's continued territorial gains. Violence has spiked across much of the country as the U.S. accelerated its troop withdrawal, a process that will be completed by the end of August.
I will not send another generation of Americans to war in Afghanistan.
While there's no mission accomplished moment, the president says the U.S. achieved its goals of killing Osama bin Laden and eliminating al-Qaeda as a national security threat. Biden downplayed the Taliban's advances despite the brutal surge in fighting.
Mr. President, will the United States be responsible for the loss of Afghan civilian lives that could happen after the military exit?
No. It's up to the people of Afghanistan to decide on what government they want, not us to impose the government on them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
UK forces are going home too, even though the Prime Minister sees a far more bleak future for Afghanistan.
We are not about to turn away, nor are we under any illusions about the perils of today's situation and what may lie ahead.
There is deep worry the volatility will only increase.
The larger picture of the whole thing is that unfortunately Taliban have been emboldened by our decision to withdraw.
And while Afghanistan may no longer be a place where attacks against the U.S. are plotted, there are predictions that could change.
Unfortunately, if there isn't some semblance of stability in Afghanistan, it is going to become a playground for transnational terrorist groups.
President Biden is firmly standing by his decision. While he wouldn't directly answer the question whether 20 years of conflict was worth it, he made the argument that the cost of staying longer, the human cost, was simply too high. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Well, there's a new state of emergency in Tokyo and a new blow just weeks before the Olympics. Fans are being told to stay home after a spike in COVID cases.
It's very disheartening. You play to perform in front of people.
Next on The National, Andy Petrillo on why the games are unstoppable. Also, with signs a fall election is in the air.
Hey, At Issue. Thanks for taking my question this week.
A special Summer At Issue answers your questions on what to expect. And making history and breaking boundaries in the Royal Canadian Navy.
When I was a young sailor, I never thought that I would one day be this rank.
We're back in 2. This year's Olympic Games in Tokyo were never going to be normal. COVID made that clear a long time ago. But today, just 2 weeks before the Games begin, fans and athletes were dealt another blow. Organizers had already planned to ban athletes' families and foreigners from attending live events. Now, all fans are being told to stay away. Chris Reyes explains why.
Japan's Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga has declared another state of emergency for Tokyo and surrounding areas. This one lasts until August 22nd, well past the Olympic Games and just before the Paralympic Games. It's another blow to an already embattled event. This latest order means no spectators in arenas and stadiums, no fans in bars or restaurants. No atmosphere like this. Retired Canadian rugby star Jen Kish still cherishes the moment her team won bronze in Rio in 2016 in front of a cheering crowd.
What's sad about it is that, once you win or if you lose, that's when you're going to get the reaction from fans. And those are moments that you want to be able to share with fans.
Japan has been struggling with rising COVID cases because of the fast-spreading Delta variant. Add to that, only about 15% of the country's population is fully vaccinated. It's one of the reasons many locals are upset that the Games haven't been canceled. Dozens of demonstrators protested as IOC President Thomas Bach landed in Tokyo early Thursday. This protester said, infections will definitely spread if the Olympics are held and overseas visitors will bring the virus back to their home country. It will be a disaster. My poster says, Bach, go home. Japan has already spent more than $15 billion on the Olympics so far, and organizers have already lost millions in tourist revenue and now ticket sales. Kish has a message for her fellow athletes. Find a way to make the games count, even without the fans.
At the end of the day, there's still an Olympic medal on the line. Very few athletes in the world have those.
Team Canada said their friends and family will be cheering hard from home. And right now, that's the best that athletes can hope for, when most in Japan would rather not see the games go on. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Okay, now I want to link up with Andy Petrillo at CBC Sports because, Andy, you co-host Road to the Olympic Games. You'll be hosting our Olympic Games morning coverage. And, of course, you just know this stuff inside out. So on whether the games actually go ahead, I mean, this really is like unstoppable force meets immovable object, right?
I feel like we are at that point, Andrew. A lot of athletes have already arrived in Japan. So many of them are making their way there. Plus, we also know the legalities surrounding it. We know that only the IOC can cancel it at this point, and they will only do so if they truly believe that it is unsafe for the games to continue. And we know that they do believe the games are safe. So if Japan were to pull out, the legalities involved are too much to get into. The IOC believes it's safe, so it's going to happen.
You know, the first thing you mentioned there, the athletes, I've spoken to a lot of them, and I know you have too. They seem largely unfazed to me. Is that your sense as well?
Yeah, truly, because the athletes, I mean, in competition, they've gone to so many different places in the world where there's been so many other issues that they've had to deal with that they're used to competing and silencing the noise around them, whether they can do it on their own or with sports psychologists. So a lot of them fully believe that the organizers, Tokyo, IOC, have made it the safest games possible. So they're just going to go, they're going to show up, they're going to compete, they're going to try to win, represent their country, and then come home. So it really is business for them.
Only a few short weeks left. Andy, always nice to see you. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, next, a special summer at issue tackles your questions.
What do you think is the most pressing issue facing Canadians in 2021?
After the break, Rosie, Chantal, Andrew, and Althea are here with some answers about a possible fall election. And later, the shifting studies in Canada's oil patch, why oil and gas engineering is off the curriculum.
Hardworking families deserve better, but our economy deserves better as well.
Federal party leaders making lots of promises today, from childcare announcements by the Liberals to NDP plans to address the housing crisis.
We're committed to building 500,000 or 500,000 new homes that people can afford.
And in Alberta, Conservative leader Erin O'Toole pitching a plan to increase payments from Ottawa.
A Conservative government will fix the fiscal stabilization program.
The tone sounding an awful lot like an election campaign, but still no official word from the Prime Minister on whether Canadians will be heading to the polls soon. Now, earlier we asked for your questions for At Issue, and it turns out you also think an election may be on the horizon. So when the House rose last month, before taking a summer break, Rosie, Chantal, Andrew, and Althea tackled your questions about a fall election and much more.
Hey, At Issue. Thanks for taking my question this week.
My question is,
I would like to ask.
My question for the panel is.
My question for the At Issue panel is.
It's been a long and busy few months. Lots of months, actually, in Canadian politics, from the management of the pandemic to questions about reconciliation and now, of course, election speculation. So before At Issue takes a short summer hiatus, it might be shorter than we would like. We wanted to continue our tradition and take some time to let you ask the question. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj all joining me tonight for that. Yes, a short break, maybe very short, but let's just hope we get a little one. Let's start with this question from Charles Pender.
For the last 18 months, we've been dealing with everything COVID. And now, as we seem to be coming out of the COVID crisis, my question for the panel is, what do you think is the most pressing issue facing Canadians in 2021 as we head into a fall election?
Okay, we're going to try and trip through these pretty quickly. Andrew, your answer to that, the most pressing issue for Canadians if we head into an election.
It's, I think, the aftermath of the pandemic, which is that we built up an enormous amount of deficit and debt at both the federal and provincial level. We're basically banking on it being solved by interest rates staying low forever, but interest rates may not stay low forever. So we've got potentially a very serious problem on our hands that we haven't begun to address.
Althea.
I would say getting people back to work, and for younger voters, the environment.
Chantal.
Climate change, which has not taken a pause during the pandemic and which is still looming, and the consequences are becoming more dire with impact on the economy, and that is waiting for politicians to address after the pandemic.
Okay, we're going to move on to a question that we got on Twitter from Cheryl. She asked you about your thoughts on Ombudsman Lick's report. This is the report about how the military is conducting itself in light of the role of the Ombudsman, the Prime Minister, and the Defense Minister. We had multiple questions, I should say, about the future of Minister Sajjan. So that's the question here. Can Minister Sajjan survive that right now? What do we think? Althea, you want to go first?
In the short term, he will survive. If the Liberals are re-elected, I would be surprised if he remains Minister of National Defence. The Ombudsman's report had a number of very good suggestions, notably making him accountable to Parliament. The Liberals have countered, saying that that is something Madame Arbault will be looking at in her report. Clearly, there's an institutional problem, but there is also a ministerial problem in that the minister doesn't seem to understand what his responsibility are, and he has no sense, seemingly, of ministerial accountability and willingness to take responsibility. So that's why I think he will not be there in the long term.
Chantal.
If the Prime Minister is not going to call an election in August, he will have to shuffle his cabinet. That's usually what you do at mid-mandate, and in this case, shuffling is in order, and if he does have to shuffle, he will have to appoint a new defense minister. You can have a debate over Sajjan's responsibilities in the current mess, but it is hard to have a debate over the fact that he's not the person to move this file forward. His credibility is basically shot. And I still have a question for former Justice Louise Arbault, who is supposed to make recommendations to the government. What exactly is she supposed to be doing when one of her former colleagues has already handed the government a report in 2015 that was ignored?
Andrew.
Prime ministers don't like to give the opposition heads on pikes, and so yes, they will probably wait until a cabinet shuffle rather than simply decommissioning him himself. In a way, that's fair. I mean, the Prime Minister's office's fingerprints are all over this affair. It's not just about Sajjan. He is, to some extent, a scapegoat. And the whole doctrine of ministerial responsibility arose in an age when ministers actually were responsible, when they had something useful to do. In this age, when things are so centrally orchestrated out of the Prime Minister's office, they essentially become the scapegoat, the person you blame when things go wrong because you can't allow the blame to attach to the Prime Minister. Maybe that's the way of the world, but I kind of sympathize. As badly as he may have handled this, it wasn't just his responsibility.
Okay, here's a question from Parmdeep Singh about another minister's performance.
How would you evaluate work of public procurement department, including minister and public services, during this past year and a half of pandemic?
So Parmdeep wants us to examine how Minister Anita Anand has performed as Minister of Procurement. She certainly had to procure a lot. Chantal.
I think she's done really well, not just because the vaccine rollout worked out a lot better than the opposition had predicted back in December and January, and a lot of pundits, but also because I found that she's a great communicator who sticks to her message, doesn't try to build it into spin, very efficient, and a kind of a discovery, because this is a new minister and a new MP that few people knew anything about, who ended up in a hot seat that usually isn't. So I found her performance quite impressive.
Andrew.
Mixed. We got a lot of vaccines in sheer volume. We didn't get them in a terribly timely fashion. We were an outlier on the downside amongst countries for the first few months of the vaccination campaign. And that matters. It matters when you get vaccines. A vaccine today is worth a lot more than a vaccine a week or a month or a year from now, because the person you vaccinate today is not capable of passing on the disease, whereas if you do it later, that you're going to have more cases than you would otherwise have. So I think it's interesting. It'd be interesting to find out why we were so slow to get them in the early going. We would know a lot more if the government were prepared to release the details of the contracts, but as they have not been so willing, then we're left to speculate.
Althea.
I feel like I'm between Andrew and Chantal on the assessment between Minister Anand. I think she has shown herself to be a quite efficient minister. She's definitely one of the bright stars in the Trudeau cabinet. She had a task and she did it well. I mean, it's hard to know when you are basically given an unlimited amount of money. You know, she bought the most vaccine on the planet for, you know, so that is, I don't know how to judge that. But I do think she's a good communicator in that she hasn't gotten herself into trouble. But she has left a lot of questions unanswered. And obviously, as a journalist, I don't like it when ministers do not answer questions. But we have no idea, to Andrew's point, whether there were penalties that the drug companies had to fork over some cash or extra doses or something because they didn't make the targets. There's lots of details that we don't know. And she still speaks in talking points. And when she doesn't speak in talking points, she's better. But perhaps with a little bit more confidence, she will communicate like a real person. But the talking points make me think that there's a lot more to dig under the surface.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, but we will be back with more of your questions, including this one.
Will the opposition's relentless focus on attacking the Prime Minister personally help or hinder their election chances?
The At Issues answer to that and more right after the break. Hey, welcome back. The At Issue panel has been taking some of your questions about the big stories of the past few months or the ones moving forward, because that's what you want to know as well. We'll get to a few of them right now. Chantal, Andrew, and Althea still here answering some of your questions. Okay, another election question, this time from an American viewer. Here's Anthony.
My question is regarding the next federal election and the fortunes or lack of the Bloc in Quebec. So what I'm wondering is, where do you see them landing in terms of seats after the next election? Somewhere closer to 2019, or is it possible that they end up somewhere in the pre-2011 Gilles Duceppe range of seat counts?
I love that this came from someone in the United States, and I love this question. Chantal, what do you think?
The Bloc is not going to have, I don't think, the kind of results it had during the Orange Wave in 2011 when it was crushed by Jack Layton. I don't see that happening. But I think its score is largely dependent on how weak the Conservatives are in Quebec. Because if the Conservatives are very weak, then the non-Liberal vote will coalesce around the Bloc. And that will allow them to win more seats. If the Conservatives do better than they've been doing in the polls, then the results should be in the same range as in the last election. The NDP I'm not mentioning because at this point the NDP in Quebec is not a huge factor in the calculus of the next election.
Andrew.
I would endorse most of that, or if not all of that. I think with the additional point, I think the Conservatives are very weak in Quebec. Yes. And that is notwithstanding having aggressively tilted, as Conservative parties always do, towards the nationalist vote on everything like, including allowing Quebec to collect its own income tax, or to collect the federal tax for them. Yes. And it never pays off for them. And you'd think eventually they would learn that this is not actually a big winning strategy for them. And so I think, yes, they will be weak.
Okay, let's get one more question, I think. Here's Beth.
Will the opposition's relentless focus on attacking the Prime Minister personally help or hinder their election chances?
I think Beth probably likes the Prime Minister, but the question the question is a good one, because does going after the Prime Minister, who really represents the Liberal brand, does that work? And does it work better now that they've been in power for so long? Andrew, you start.
It's a tricky question because he's not the asset that he once was for the Liberal Party. If you go back to 2015, it was clear he was very much a positive asset for them. He now has, I think, a negative net rating, approval versus disapproval. Not nearly as bad as Aaron O'Toole's, but he's not a huge asset for it. So I'm not sure there's a lot to be gained I'm not sure they have really had a relentless personal attack on the Liberal leader, but I'm not sure there'd be much gained in making it as personal as that either.
Althea.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is a known quantity. And so I think that those attacks play well to the base. And they also play well to the Liberals' base in that they feel like they need to defend their man. So it's more a thing partisans do to, for their own audience than it is that they do for the general population. I don't expect that we will see very, very personal attack ads during the election campaign.
Okay, I know you guys don't believe me when I say how much I enjoy Thursdays, but I really do. And I appreciate you all sharing your thoughts and your experience with everybody and bringing context to a lot of important stories, particularly this year, which has been difficult for everyone. So thank you. I will miss you, but you are now free to take a short and well-deserved summer break for the next few weeks. Have a great summer. We will be back in a few weeks, unless there's an election, and we'll be back before. Now it's back to Andrew in Toronto.
Okay, up next, a change in curriculum in Canada's oil patch.
The downturn that we've seen over the last several years, I think, is relatively unprecedented. We have not seen that before.
Why the University of Calgary is dropping one of its flagship courses. Welcome back. For decades, the University of Calgary has prepared graduates for work in Canada's energy sector. But times are tough. Job prospects in the oil patch have slumped, and so too has enrollment in what was once a hugely popular bachelor program in oil and gas engineering. So, as Kyle Bax tells us, that program is now on hold.
All around campus, the names of oil and gas companies are hard to miss, but enrollment in some programs related to the oil patch is dwindling. That's why, after almost 25 years, one of the University of Calgary's flagship courses is being suspended.
It's really been a great program for us. It typically used to be a high demand program.
Enrollment in the oil and gas engineering program has fallen into the single digits. Instead of graduating about 40 students a year, in the last 2 years, just 7 grads completed the program.
The downturn that we've seen over the last several years, I think, is relatively unprecedented. We have not seen that before.
The last 7 years in the oil patch have been dismal, with low prices and thousands of workers losing their jobs as companies slashed expenses. Looking to the future, students are also seeing a changing energy landscape, with growth in renewables, geothermal, and hydrogen. That's why alumni and industry veterans aren't surprised that's where education is shifting.
Students and professionals want to be set up for the longevity of their career. So you're always going to have to adapt and change.
So it's just a whole new business opportunity for Alberta. We shouldn't look at it as a negative thing. It's a very positive thing.
The University of Calgary is seeing a noticeable decline in other oil-related studies, such as the petroleum geology program. Memorial University in Newfoundland is also reconsidering its oil and gas programs with more consideration to greener energy sources. Still, some students lament having fewer educational options.
Even if we're trying to transition into more renewables, we need petroleum engineers on our side.
The University of Calgary says it's still committed to training students to work in the oil patch, just with fewer oil and gas courses. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, up next, shattering another glass ceiling, this time in the Royal Canadian Navy. Making history and marking the moment is next in Our Moment.
Chief Petty Officer Gregory relinquishes his appointment to Chief Petty Officer First Class Mondelli.
Alina Mondelli made history today, becoming the first ever female base chief petty officer of the Royal Canadian Navy. With nearly 30 years of experience, Mondelli has worked her way up the ranks, breaking barriers along the way. Tonight, her promotion is Our Moment.
I couldn't be more proud to hand over to Chief Mondelli. Chief Mondelli is the first female base chief in the history of the Royal Canadian Navy, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity for the Canadian Forces and for the Navy.
It feels pretty incredible to be at this position because when you're a young sailor, when I was a young sailor, I never thought that I would one day be this rank and doing this job. But it feels pretty incredible because I know of all the hard work that I've had to do to get here.
William, sir, I have the watch as the Base Chief Petty Officer for CFP Halifax.
I've had to fight for what I've accomplished. And so it's very satisfying to know that hard work pays off and that you can do great things with that.
So clearly, with such an accomplishment, one becomes a de facto role model, right, for all of one's peers. The other thing, though, as part of this role, she will be the base's chief disciplinarian. So listen to her for all kinds of reasons. That's The National for this July 8th. Have a great night.